So it was 4 seconds on the clock. They threw the ball. We was up by one. Yeah, up by one. They threw the ball in the backcourt, right? 4 seconds now on the clock. Threw the ball in the backcourt. My man dribbled to the front court, did a whole spin move, clutched in 4 seconds, right? So we sitting there like, yo, he must didn't start the clock. So, but ain't no instant replay and all that shit. So, kid hit the shot and won. So that's how it ended. So yeah, but overall it was a good weekend.
And how were the overall? How was the performance of the kids?
Kids played good. Justin, he averaged 20, 22 for the tournament. Yeah, he played really well.
Okay, that's what it is then. Um, doing
What's
my
up with you? What's up with the golf?
got my tournament. Got my tournament tomorrow. Um, met with a brother yesterday in reference to the IUL. So I'm starting my policy probably this week, and he actually said he might have some people um, with the sponsors or whatever. He said he willing to sponsor me too, so that's gonna help. Obviously, the golf swing is always a work in progress. I went and played today, but more so, more so practice than anything. And y'all gotta excuse me, my nose has been bugging for the past couple days. So if y'all see me step away or get quiet, then more than likely I muted myself so I could blow my nose because it's just getting on my it's really getting on my nerves. But it's coming. Like I know for a fact that it's coming, and tomorrow I feel pretty confident. If I don't win, I should be like top three. If I play my game,
Okay.
hands down. So we gonna see. I pulled out a club out the garage that's been sitting there for about 12 years. Um, we played with it last week, and on the 16th hole, the head came off, which I kind of expected because it's old. It is what it is. So I went and got it fixed.
Right.
I'm gonna see what's up with it tomorrow. Hopefully, it keep me in. All I gotta do is be in play. I'm fine. Fine. And
Word.
the dude I played golf with today, he's actually a pro, and I just happened to catch up with him, so we played, and it was all good. But like I said, it's work in progress. I'm rocking my man Will sent me my putt well shirt. He sent me a couple shirts. This shirt is actually kind of clean once I rock it with the blue shorts. So we're gonna see what's up. So for everybody out there tuning in, if you saw the first episode with when we had Constance Washington on, I'm thankful that Sean J off of TikTok, I saw the story on there. And when I did, I was able to get in touch with Constance. And as y'all know, she came on and she did the podcast and she told the story. And some things have happened and we wanted to bring her on for an update. So her and an attorney, a real estate attorney, will be tuning in probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes so we can get an update. And then as she's telling the story again, along with giving us the update, he can give his insight because collectively we have to make this story go viral. Like this ain't no game. And if you're tuning in on any other platform besides YouTube, please do us a favor. Go and watch us on YouTube. Type in Unplugged FYM and or Unplugged for Your Mind. Either one, we good. Word and get this out to as many people as you can. If you tuning in on TikTok, repost this. Like let other people know exactly what's going on because once she tells this story, a lot of people gonna get pissed off because it's heartbreaking. You just really shouldn't do stuff like that to people. But we know that cats ain't got no conscience, y'all. They just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. As per usual, as you come into the chat, please let us know where you're tuning in from, city, state, stuff like that. We try to do a roll call just so everybody knows where everybody's at.
Uh,
Did you hear about that what jumped off in Charlotte today? I'm
No.
just now I just scanned through some stuff. Says 3 U.S. Marshals task force members killed, 5 officers shot in Charlotte. Um, 3 members of the U.S. Marshal Fugitive Task Force were shot and killed, and 5 additional law enforcement officials were shot while they were serving a search warrant in Charlotte. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to read in it because this happened earlier today. I must have missed it.
Wow, yo.
Yeah, so our condolences to those to the family of those who lost their lives in that. Yeah, that's crazy. Um, Man, I'm gonna tell you this, and I think I might have told you, man. Fuck Atlanta. That Atlanta traffic is trash. That shit is trash. I hate it for anybody who lived there. I was talking to Tyrone earlier today. He was like, "Man, that's why I don't go nowhere." He was like, "If it ain't necessarily important, I don't go nowhere." That traffic is terrible, man. They always doing some kind of construction on the road, all kind of bullshit in the middle of the day too. Like they picked like 11, 12, 1 o'clock. Like that's prime time.
Yep,
Crazy.
that's about right, yo. That's definitely about right. Um, well, we have Constance tuning in. She just logged in, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Uh, what's up, young lady?
Hey, Constance.
Hello, how are you guys? How's it going? Thank you for having me again.
Of course, of course. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging
Okay,
in there.
okay.
We wait. We want to before you give us the update. I really want to wait and see if Ernest is going to come on because I want him to hear the whole story. Because I think
Okay.
if he hears the whole story and then you go into the update, then that's what it is. Because we would love. I mean, actually, by the way, the attorney that you have, what kind of attorney is he?
He was a real estate attorney.
Perfect. Okay. Okay.
You said
Which down there, they are very hard to get. This attorney that I just retained, he's like 5, 6 hours away. And as you guys see, it took me over a year to get an attorney.
right.
Yeah.
Um, is he a skin folk or is he a little light skin?
He's one of them.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
it was virtually impossible to find one of us. I did, however, find a lady. She did inbox me last week, and I got her information, and I passed it on to my attorney. Um, Downey's Home did the same thing to her 8 years ago,
Mm,
and
mm, mm.
she said, and it was amazing because when she called me, her and I, we didn't even like talk to each other. She just bust out crying. And I let her, we talked, and she said like her whole family had turned against her because they felt like she lost their mother land. And she said when she seen my story, she was calling up all her brothers and sisters, and she was saying, see, they did it again. I told you guys they did it again, because she couldn't understand what was going on. So she couldn't understand what was happening. Again, guys, like I said, being that I was a clerk and I had a little knowledge about you must go back to court regardless to what, that helped me out a little bit. And I had explained to her they stole her land by default judgment, just like they did mine.
Mm.
So,
I mean,
you know,
I'm hoping that this story does eventually go viral and they get put on blast. Because matter
yes.
of fact, I don't know why I didn't think about this before. Did you happen to reach out or possibly reach out to the congressman and or senator for that?
I did. I did. I reached out to the mayor's office. I wrote Washington, D.C. When I tell you I wrote, I'm on TikTok now and social media. So a lot of people was jumping up there telling me different agencies, government agencies to write. And I wrote virtually everybody I can write. And being that I was in litigation, and that's another thing that I'm finding now, that ties you up. When you're in litigation and you write the different government agencies, they always say you are in litigation, so they not able to help you.
Mhm.
Even with the judge going under investigation, I did get a letter. There was a hearing, as you guys I told you guys, and after the hearing, they told me that his disciplinary action was confidential.
Mm.
And I didn't understand what was the purpose of the hearing. If nothing was, he's still working in the court system. He's still up on the bench. So this man helped steal my land, and I can't be told what was his disciplinary act, if there was any at all.
It,
He's
it,
still sitting up on the bench.
it wasn't. Hold that thought. We're about to have you go ahead and break everything down because
Okay.
Attorney Felton is on. How you doing, Attorney? How you doing, Attorney Felton?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
First off, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Food, the guy you talked to on the phone. This is the me and Main One, we co-host the show, and this is the young lady who's going through the issues.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of introduce you to everybody first before we kind of get into this.
Okay. Yes.
Hello, counsel. Thank you.
How are you?
Okay.
Good. Good.
So what we're gonna do, being that you don't know the story, what we're gonna let her tell the story from the beginning. And like I said, you feel free to interject because you're a real estate attorney. You know your stuff.
Yeah, I heard some of it.
Okay.
Some of the previous show or segment with you, but just like real brief. I heard it was a contractor. It was a build. What was it?
Yeah. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna let her tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you interject however you want to because you're gonna be able to give great insight. And then we're gonna allow her to give the update of what has happened since the last time she was on the show.
Got it. Okay.
And me and Jermaine, I'm about to mute myself. I'm good. Ain't nothing else to talk about. So, Constance, go ahead and go ahead and start the story from the beginning so he can know what's going on.
Okay. Before I get started, I would like for everybody to know that I've been going through this since 2021, and it's been a long time. So I'm gonna try to, if I get my dates maybe or time frames a little off, I just want to let that be clear because sometimes you got to be careful. They say, "Oh, she's lying, she's lying." So I just want to I'm gonna break it down to you by memory. Okay, so in 2021, I bought a piece of land in Edenton, North Carolina, after saving up for 8 years.
Right.
I did some research. In the area that I bought the land from, there was 2 contractors that built homes on your property. And it was either a stick home or modular home,
Right.
and that's what I went with. I went with the modular home due to the fact that with modulars, you can get them built as, you can pretty much tell them what type of home you're looking for. So I went with a company called Downey's Homes of Elizabeth City. They was 30 minutes away from my land. I went into contract with them in 2021 of October 2021. Downey's Homes of Elizabeth City told me that the home will be built within 7 to 8 months, that they built the home inside of factories. And then they drive them to your land and they put them on your property.
Right.
I live in New York, so they gave me an app called Built. The app was so that we can correspond with each other's electronic filing and electronic signing and updates of the home. Moving forward, maybe 4 or 5 months into the process of the home, I still haven't received any notifications on the progress of the house and what was going on with the home. So I started reaching out to Downey's Homes and asking them, what's the progress of the house? How far are we? I'm not getting no pictures. I'm not getting no notifications where we at on the home. They was telling me things like, oh, we waiting on a permit, or it rained and the contractors are still working on the home, which I was a little confused then, because when they was telling me that it rained all week and they couldn't do much, because I was told that the modular homes are built inside of a factory. So, then I was like, it rained. I thought you guys said that the home was being built inside of a factory and then y'all bring it to my land. Well, throughout the process, they started getting aggravated, because I kept calling. Miss Washington, you just called here last week, and the relationship wasn't going well at all. It was during COVID, so I was trying to give them a little bit of extra time because they were saying some of the contractors caught COVID within a year now. Now we're going into a year.
Right.
I contact Downey's Homes again, and I asked them, what's the progress of the house? I want to see some pictures of the house. There's no ground broke. It's been a year. The contract is breached. You guys told me that it's going to be within 8 or 9 months, and I'm trying to be patient. And that was it. I had about enough. They started talking down to me. Oh, Miss Washington, you got to be patient. You keep calling here, or they'll put me on hold for hours. And I'll hang up, and they wouldn't call me back. I had enough. So I emailed them. And I have my emails, and I told them that I was moving on to another company. It's been a year. The relationship is not going well, and I'm moving on. 32 days after I told them that I was moving on, the app that I was asking them about called Built, I get a notification on my phone. The app goes off. So I opens up the app, and there's a half a house sitting on my property.
Right.
I then 7 days later, I took off and I flies down. I drives to the land, and I wasn't down there for about a year, so I actually circled the block twice because I was praying what I was looking at wasn't my land. Maybe I was, but the GPS kept telling me it was 313 Country Club Drive. There was a big blue trailer looking house sitting in the back of my property. I walked over, and it's a totally different house. It's in my contract, I contracted a 4-bedroom home with upstairs, future electricity, future plumbing. But later on, I was planning on getting extra rooms built. I goes to Downey's Homes of Elizabeth City, and I asked them, who put this house on my land? What's going on? I told you I was moving on. Where y'all get this house from? So the salesman, his name was Robin Pate. He wanted to know how I knew it was the wrong house. And I told him the app, I got notification that you guys put a home on my property, and I told you guys I was moving on.
Jump in, because I think I can fill in some gaps. I want to get you down to perhaps where you want to be. And I hear your story, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm going to imagine, you proceeded with, expressing what the issue is, wrong home, and you told them to stop. Then what?
I told them to move the house. I told them I want the home moved off my property.
Did they ever move it?
They never moved it. He said, when I said this is the wrong house, I want this house moved off my property immediately.
Well, let me stop you. Because I want to get you, I don't want to run out of time.
Okay.
Trust me, I hear you.
Yes.
This is what I tell clients all the time. I already hear you. Okay.
Oh, come on.
You gotta believe me.
Okay.
Right. So we didn't resolve this, and then it ended up in court. Who filed first?
Yes. I filed first.
What did you file?
I filed a summons and complaint in Passatank County.
A complaint based on what? What did you call it? What was the complaint called?
Breach of contract.
Got it. And then I heard a bit, and there are other people I'm sure who are listening or will be listening who need to hear this part, but I kind of heard this part before. So you filed for breach of contract?
Yes, I did.
What happened to that case?
That case was dismissed without prejudice, and I was told to find a lawyer.
When was it dismissed?
That was dismissed without prejudice on, I'm going to tell you the exact date.
Was it in 2024?
No, it was in 2022.
2022.
Yes. I want to give you the exact date.
I don't need the exact date. That's good enough.
Okay. So it was dismissed without prejudice in 2022.
And you've been looking for an attorney since?
Yes, I was looking for an attorney since. However, I was always filing answers because when they dismissed my case without prejudice, Downey's Homes attorney went over to Chowan County and he put a lien on my property.
Got it. And so now there's a lien on your property, and there's a half-built home. Or did they finish it? Or did they complete it according to their own statements? Or
They said that they built a home for me and I didn't pay them.
So is that so-called home still there?
Yes, it is.
Is it complete based upon your not your home, but the home, whatever it is on that land? Does it appear to be complete to you?
The first floor is complete, but not upstairs. No. They stopped doing the work. Upstairs wasn't ever completed.
Got it. Just curiosity, how much is the lien for?
$289,000.
How much did you contract to pay them to build your home?
$289,000.
Got it. And so then it's just this lien sitting there.
Yes.
And they haven't moved.
Well, no, they actually sold the property a week ago. They sold my land a week ago. Downey's Homes of Elizabeth City's son, Brandon Jones, bought my land. And they bought it out of a trust.
I'm sorry, you said the son of?
Jeff Jones' son, Brandon Jones, bought it.
And I'm sorry, just for clarification, I know you said it, but I was want to make certain.
Yeah, Jeff Jones is the owner of Downey's Homes.
Got it. So the owner's son purchased it.
Yes.
Got it. All right. So where would you like to begin? Do you have a question?
I have a lot of questions, but like one of the questions that I did have is my land was bought out of a trust. There was a writ of execution that I pulled out of my file off of line e-file, but I was never served the writ of execution. And I was doing some research and I was told I was supposed to have been served the writ of execution.
Okay. All right. The language or the terminology, this is North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Yeah, the terminology may be a little different in North Carolina than it is in Illinois. But the principles, for the most part, are the same.
Okay. Yes.
The U.S. I can't speak, per se, to the law in North Carolina, but I can tell you what I know about the law, right? Because I'm licensed in Illinois.
Okay.
But I don't imagine, it's small differences. So, just take it as if I'm speaking from Illinois.
Okay.
Right? And hypothetically, okay? So like in there, I can't think of a proceeding whereby notice is not required.
Yes.
So let me just start from the end and then we'll work our way, okay?
Okay, yes.
So like, what is the question is, what's your recourse right now in light of the fact that the land has been sold? Okay, so recourse one is to vacate that sale. I'm sorry, and you said that sale took place when again?
Friday, past.
This past Friday?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I do a lot of foreclosure, or I've done a lot of foreclosure. It's probably a little bit different because what we're talking about, and we'll talk about it a bit more, is a mechanics lien. That's what happened, right? I don't know what they call it in North Carolina, but essentially a mechanics lien, generally speaking, is I'm imagining it's the same terminology with respect to a mechanics lien. When anyone does some work on your land or to your property, a contractor, a builder, developer,
Yes.
and they claim that they were not paid, then they can place a lien upon that land. And,
Yes.
and then they can follow whatever procedure. The procedures may vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but there's a procedure by which you can foreclose on your lien. So that's what had happened. You follow?
Yes.
So they foreclosed on that lien. So now, whenever a judgment is entered, generally, there's small differences, right? But generally speaking, whenever a judgment is entered against an individual or any proceeding, again, there must be some notice. So I just heard you say, you never received a writ of execution. Maybe that's the service, right? You're speaking of. So like, you would have shown up if you would have known.
Absolutely.
So your first step is to find their affidavit of service. So when they file that foreclosure on your lien, you need to get all the paperwork, and somewhere in there needs to be some notice from a sheriff or an affidavit from a sheriff or a special process server that says, hey, on this date, we served this person.
Absolutely. I did contact the sheriff's department, and I asked them for a copy of proof that I was served.
Right.
I'm still waiting.
Now, let me share this. This is a little gray area.
Okay.
I know there has to be some notice. Now, the question becomes like, could they possibly have, does the statute allow for notice like through a mailing? I doubt it. It won't be hard to find out though. And I also heard that you work in the court system, so you have some familiarity with legal terminology and so forth. So here, this is relatively simple. Find out when someone's attempting to foreclose on a lien, the process of service. Must they serve you via a sheriff, or can they appoint like a special process server without the court's approval, or otherwise can they serve you like through the mail?
Okay.
So find that out. That's step number one. And then whatever that process is they must follow to serve you, then we want proof that they followed that process. And so your recourse is going to be filing a motion to vacate that sale based upon the fact most likely of no service, no notice.
Yes.
That's going to be your best way. It's going to be a notice issue. Okay?
Yes.
And you want to move quick because although the sale recently took place, I doubt if it's like foreclosure. Let me tell you how foreclosure is different in various jurisdictions, right?
Yes.
Like Illinois foreclosure is what's the word? Good Lord. I can't remember the word, but there are two different types of foreclosures, right? So in Illinois, as an example, like there's an initial judgment that's entered. Hey, you owe me $200,000. That's a judgment, right? And then after the judgment is entered, then they can sell after the judgment like 90 days later. They have to wait 90 days, give you 90 days to pay them, and then they can go to sale, generally speaking. And once the sale, here's the catch. And I'm not saying it applies in this circumstance, but I'm just giving you an idea of the nuance oftentimes in the law, as you are very well aware of.
Okay.
Once the sale takes place in Illinois, as an example, in a foreclosure, you have 30 days to contest that sale. This is what I don't want you to miss. I don't want you to miss a time frame that you have to contest that sale.
Okay.
That's what you want to be on like tomorrow.
Okay.
And usually like time frames expire, as you well know, 30 days. You got 30 days, right? So if you have any recourse and like, or any statutory right to challenge that sale, most likely it's within 30 days from last Friday.
Okay, so we put in a temporary restraining order, and we had a hearing for the 1st, April the 1st. This was before the sale. The judge recused himself off the case.
Got it. So
we was waiting for another court date, but we didn't receive a court date before the sale. So now they sold the land, and now they giving me a court date for May the 20th. I just got notification that the court date is May the 20th.
Yeah. Let me tell you this one, okay? Let me tell you this one. I really don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is how people go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Listen, I can't tell you what North Carolina's law is, but I can to bet a lot of money. Like your TRO has is not relevant to what we need to do right now. Because that's something that was a TRO says, I need you to stop doing something. Well, the something's already occurred. So that means your TRO is useless.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Does not matter. Don't get distracted by that.
Okay.
What I told you, and listen, I can't speak for North Carolina, but I'm willing to bet a lot of money. I've already given you the answer.
Okay. The contestant said, okay.
And that's why, and let me tell you this one. That's why I stop people in their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, there are attorneys. An attorney is to tell you the letter of the law, black and white letter of the law. But then what you really need oftentimes is a counselor.
Okay.
You follow?
Mm-hmm.
We get caught in our stories and we get distracted.
Right. Okay.
All right. So I want you to be real clear. What was the requirement for you to give me notice that you were about to foreclose on that lien?
Right.
Stay right there. Stay right there. Don't let anybody take you off that point.
Okay.
And then second, how much time and on what grounds can I vacate a sale? That's it.
Okay. Okay.
That's it. That's where you are right now.
Contest the sale. Okay.
Yes.
Attorney Fenton, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard or seen a case like this before?
Somewhat. Not with these facts, but like when you put it all together, it's not surprising to me.
It's not, and this company is still able to function and operate. Do you think it's because of the small, like this is like a little small town or whatever, and everybody knows each other, judge, sheriffs, and all these people are, in my opinion, I think they're in cahoots with stealing people's land. That's just my opinion. I can't say that as fact, but that's just my opinion from hearing the story.
Well, that's part of it, perhaps, right? And to the extent that and let me tell you this, and I could tell you a little bit about me, like, listen, and you'll gather what type of person I am. Like, yeah, that may be part of it, but let me give you a different perspective on that. And I had a case in a small town, I think it's tomorrow, and I had one last week, right? Yeah, they know one another and they know how the judges rule and they know the disposition of the judge. So yeah, so is it necessarily, some conspiracy? Maybe, but it starts to look like a conspiracy because the custom. If you don't understand the custom in the culture and the politics, then it's going to feel like a conspiracy. Right. But I'm with you. Yeah, part of it is a conspiracy.
Here's another thing that I thought of, and it probably was easier for them to kind of make this kind of maneuver with her being from out of state. Could this have been if she was like lived right there in that same town or whatever? It may have been harder to do this. Do you think is that?
Let me tell you. I can tell you what happened. Well, yes and no. Listen, people without representation get run over all the time. And people without, your resources dictate your access to justice. And this is a clear sign of not having the proper, not engaging, if you will, or activating. I'm not speaking to Ms. Washington's resources, but what I'm saying, not activating your resources will lead you to this, particularly in those small, good old boy communities. But it's happening in Chicago. It's happening everywhere. There are all different types of ways, that we get shafted because, we don't navigate, quote unquote, properly through the legal channels. And the law is somewhat slanted in favor of, it's just like, it's a grave injustice. It is ridiculous. Like, what type of law would there be that would allow a person to, do this and then you not have recourse when you're looking at your land and you attempted to avail yourself to the justice system, but because of technicalities, then you lose your home? That sounds crazy. Sounds barbaric.
Yeah. Well, that's not far-fetched. I mean, that's
but
how
it happens all the time.
That's how they stole America.
Yeah, it happens all
exactly.
I see it in foreclosure all the time. Tax sales. People lose their homes to taxes. I'm like, hold on. In this day and age, you mean to tell me a little old lady who paid her mortgage, had her home for 50 years, 40 years, can fall behind $3,000, $4,000 on taxes and she can lose her house? Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But let me back you up if you desire to know. Okay, but I want you to stay focused on the last part because this other stuff is irrelevant unless you get past where you are right now.
Okay.
It's not going to help you. Okay? So, and if you can get the sale vacated, because that's your challenge, getting that sale vacated. Mm-hmm. And let me just say this before I forget. The fact that his son purchased it might help you. Now, I don't know, like in the foreclosure context, I don't believe that there is some restriction from a family member of the banker going in and buying the property. However, I think if I were making the argument, let's say there's some notice requirement, I'm going to presume they have to give you some notice. When you're making the argument that, hey, they didn't send me this notice, or they knew that wasn't my address, whatever the facts may be, the fact that his son bought it will lend to your argument. Like, it's quite curious they're saying they sent me notice and I didn't receive it, and then all of a sudden his son buys my property. That's strange. You follow? Okay. So it's relevant to that extent.
Okay.
All right. But let me tell you what happened. Okay. But let's not get caught up here. So, right, you said, okay, they were taking too long. In their contract, without me even looking at it, I already know how these contracts read. You follow? Everything is going to be in their favor. If you got a problem with what's going on or a time frame, you would have had to put your issue in writing. That's number one. Number two, and you would have had to send it, not like a text message or email. It most likely would have had to be mailed to them at a particular address by a particular time. That's number one. So talking back and forth on the phone, expressing, I don't think stuff is going right, don't help us. You follow?
Yes.
So, okay, they said 7 months, it'll take, maybe it turned into 12 months. I hear you. I heard you. You're right there. You're right there. They breached the contract. I heard you say it. Maybe they did. But when they breached that contract, we had to put that in writing that I am hereby canceling the contract as a result of your breach. Let me tell you what else is in that contract without me even looking at it. Before you can call a breach on them, you have to give them an opportunity to cure the breach. So before we even say, even after 12 months, you'd have to say, hey, I think you're in breach of this contract, but I'm going to give you 2 more months to get it right.
Right.
You follow? So I'm sure that contract, you just can't say it's in breach. So you would have had to give them a notice. You'd have to give them notice to cure. Then time would have to pass. Then they didn't cure. Then you'd have to send them another notice and say, I hereby find you in breach of this contract is canceled.
Well, I signed 2 other contracts. I signed 3 contracts and all. I was trying to work with them. I was trying to work with them over and over and over. I signed 3 contracts.
But I'm saying when it came to you saying that they were in breach,
Mm-mm.
let me tell you what happened. I'm telling you exactly what happened. They knew they were in breach, but you had not formally canceled the contract. And that they were like, I don't want to lose that money. And they probably had already done some work, but they wanted that money. And so what they did was they rushed out there and they built the structure to beat her from canceling the contract. That's what happened. And then they were like, give us our money. Now I heard you. You said, well, this is not the structure. So even if you didn't cancel the contract for them breaching based upon the time frame they had to build, your next breach, and you were right, you're on it. You're right there. You're right there. It's just fine little details.
Right.
They mean everything, unfortunately. Then, okay, they got you on that one. Then you go out there, you see it for yourself. You're like, this is not even the structure that I paid you to build. So that's
Right.
a breach. That's another breach.
Yes.
You should have sent, then you filed a lawsuit. You did the right thing. Breach of contract. But for whatever reason, it was dismissed. Maybe it wasn't proper service, whatever the case may be. I'm not sure why they dismissed it. Right? And then they hurried up, filed a mechanics lien, and most likely, quote unquote, went behind your back and foreclosed on that lien. And that's where we are. Yeah.
I have a quick question for Constance based on what the information you gave her. With the attorney that you have and what he advised you to do, did your attorney advise that?
No.
Okay.
Who is your attorney? Who is your attorney?
His name is John Salmon.
What did he advise you to do?
Well, they put in a motion to dismiss my appeals, and he filed an answer to that. He filed a temporary restraining order, and we filed a complaint, like a cross complaint.
After the property was sold?
Before.
Got it.
Because they told me I had to put in I put in a notice of appeal. This was before I got an attorney, and I went into default judgment, and the judge signed. He granted the default judgment. Then I got a letter stating that they found my answer because I went into default judgment because the clerk took my 26-page affidavit's answer out of my folder, and they said I didn't file an answer. So I wrote the commissioner and I sent a copy of my answer, and then they contact the courthouse, and the courthouse sent me an email that they found my answer, and that for me to put in a motion to set aside the default judgment and get ready for trial.
Got it.
And when I put in that motion, they sent me to another Currituck County with the same judge, and he denied to set aside the default judgment. And I wrote the commissioner again, and that particular judge went under investigation, but nothing happened.
And that was the default judgment on them trying to foreclose on the mechanics lien.
Yes.
Oh wow, yeah, that's crazy. Now right there, that's
it's very crazy.
That's shenanigans right there.
I have all the paperwork. I filed the answer. The clerk put me in default. They wanted me to put in the motion to set aside the default judgment. And I was asking them because it was the clerk's error. As she said, it was an error. She just didn't see my answer. How come the court didn't overturn the default judgment? How come I had to put in the motion? They said it because it had to be called on the record. I didn't understand it. I did it anyway.
At this time?
I'm sorry?
Had an attorney around this time when this started?
At that time, no. I was doing all of the motions myself. I didn't have an attorney.
Got it.
But I was putting in the the motions. I just got online and got the motion to set aside the default judgment. I filled it out and I submitted it. I filed it with the clerk and I sent it to the attorney. I did get a court date, but he denied it.
How many days after the default judgment was entered did you file your motion to vacate the default?
I filed it in 22 days because I had 30 days to file. So I filed it before, the time frame was over.
Yeah, I got it. So yeah, you need to, I don't know if your initial, I don't know. Okay. But here's the third thing I would advise you to do. I don't know if your initial appeal is valid, because typically, and I'm not an appellate attorney, you can only appeal generally. I'm not an appellate attorney. You can generally only appeal from a final judgment. So like, if you're appealing like the default, that I think that would be what is called an interlocutory appeal. Like in the order, it would have to give you the authority to appeal that ruling.
But I did file a notice of appeal with the final default judgment, because when I put in the notice to set aside the default judgment and get ready for trial, that judge, the same judge, he denied it. So when he denied it, that judgment became final. And I filed the notice of appeal on that judgment. And then the clerk, Wendy Turner, said I had to send it to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I told her, no, the court has to send my notice of appeal to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Well, what you just said makes sense, okay? But I'm being overly cautious.
Yes.
So what I'm saying to you is speak to an appellate attorney.
Okay.
But what you said certainly makes sense to me. Okay, it was a final order and it was appealable. And now the question becomes, was your notice of appeal timely and appropriate, or whatever the case, to preserve it? So then that's your other bite at the apple, which seems very strong to me. That just sounds absurd that they made the mistake of not seeing your answer, defaulting you filing a motion to vacate the default, and them denying it within the 30-day period. Now that right there is crazy. Yes. Now we're talking about, some fraud or
fraud. It is fraud upon the court. I filed all. I did all of that, and again, I work for the courts. I even, I sat down with a few people in my courthouse, and as you said, North Carolina laws is different, but even they don't have jurisdiction, but they did help go over my paperwork, and they said they never seen anything like it. They don't understand it.
Yeah, for them to deny that makes no sense.
Well, that's why they sent her to the other court with the same judge, because they already knew they had him in pocket. So they're like, all right, send her over here.
Attorney Felton, from when I look at your face, you like, I wish I was practicing in North Carolina so you could bust their ass, bro. This shit is what I'm saying is, if she didn't have any knowledge of the court system, it will be worse. But she's doing things by procedure, and they just brushing on procedure like, nah, that don't work here, when that's the law.
Yeah.
And then they sent me to court on Columbus Day, a federal. I thought it was a mistake. I got notification by email, and I said, for me to come to court on Columbus Day, but being that it was about my land, I went down anyway. And sure enough, the court was open, and I said, "Oh, y'all opened the court just for me on Columbus Day?" And that same judge was sitting there on Columbus Day on a federal holiday at a whole nother county. Now, mind you, the judge that keeps denying and granting, he's from Pitt County. So he was a visiting judge from Pitt County. And I said, oh, a visiting judge from another county could give me a default judgment. I have no sales. I have no stamps. But again, I sent all of that information. I sent the default judgment, and I've never seen the default judgment without a seal. I've never seen the default judgment without a stamp. But I asked for the oath of office. I asked for the bond. I wrote the Secretary of the State. I'm doing everything, but they still, and then they sold my land out of a trust. My land was in the trust. I couldn't understand. I thought they was gonna have to pull me back into court to sell my land out of the trust. And then I would figure I would be able to at least tell my side of the story because I never was heard. But
No,
they sold the land out of the trust.
let me slow you down. You're on the right pathway, and you know this, right? And I'm not,
Yes.
I'm not saying that this is, just stay focused.
Yes.
All right. So you have 3 points. That appeal,
Okay.
you have your points. Just stay right there.
Okay.
You filed your motion to vacate that default within a 22-day time frame.
Yes, I did.
And you filed an appeal. You
Yes,
want
I
to look
did.
at that appeal and get someone who understands appeals to make sure your appeal is proceeding properly. You don't want to lose that on a technicality.
Yes.
That seems very strong, very strong.
Okay. Okay.
And then I think that's stronger than what I started with about the vacating the sale, because that appeal vacates the sale. It handles it all. I think that's where you are. But at the same time, I'd be working the back end too.
Right. Okay.
I'd be working those two ends. But let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
How much land are we talking about?
I have about almost an acre.
So, and that acre was like one pin on one deed?
Yes, I have one deed. Yes.
One deed. And the structure that they built, was it attached to when they built it? When you looked at it last, was it already attached to the land?
Yes, it was already attached to the base. They did a base first, and then they drove the house and they put it on the base and they sealed it up. It was a modular.
Yeah, I know. Okay. And how much had you paid the contractors?
Altogether at this time, about maybe 50,000. I paid for the base and I paid the down payment.
Write that one down too.
Okay.
Because that's strong evidence of what their intent was. Because who's going to go and drop a whole house when you've only paid them 50,000? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So they set that up to be that way. They knew it. Like I said, they were trying to get the money from you, or they were trying to get the land.
And they did, because the day we were supposed to have the closing, they tried to draw the money out of the construction loan, and I had to cancel it. I rejected it.
Got it. So that's the issue. They were trying to get the money from the construction loan, because that didn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? No one would do that. But you just answered why, because they thought they could get the money.
I have the rejection papers where I got a notification for me to e-file for them to because they was trying to draw the money, but I rejected it, and then I called the bank and I told them I wasn't closing on the house because this is not the house in my contract. This is a totally different house, which I believe was a sample home that they had on their lot, because I seen that house before.
All right. I would okay. The notice of appeal part.
Yes.
That's where you are.
Well, I filed the notice of appeal. I got it right here. I filed the notice of appeal within the time frame.
You need an appellate attorney to look at that.
Well, the attorney I got now, he said that the next step with the notice of appeal is the briefs. So he said I sent him all my paperwork, and he said that he was going to do the briefs. But we waiting for the appellate division, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina, to contact us about the briefs. I did call Raleigh, North Carolina, and so did he. And my notice of appeal is at the appellate division.
So it is proceeding. It was filed timely and all that.
Yes, it was filed timely, but Downey's Homes of Elizabeth City attorney tried to get my notice of appeal dismissed from the appellate division, and he said that he didn't get the transcripts in time.
I understand that. Well, I
Attorney
mean,
Felton, I want to put this out there to you too. If you didn't hear her say it, someone contacted her. The same company did this to them 8 years ago.
oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, it happens all the time in different ways. You know, there have been many stories of little old ladies, someone knocked back in the day in the 80s, 70s. You know, they'll knock on the door of a little old lady, and there's a siding salesperson will say, hey, I can put siding on your house and make it beautiful and give you a new roof, and it's only going to cost you, $99 a month. But what they don't tell her is like 15, 20,000. They place it on the house. Next thing you know, the 99, they didn't tell her about some fees. Next thing you know, they're trying to foreclose on her house. This ain't new.
Just out of curiosity, because I mean the information you given is golden, and I know I'm over here like, okay, I hear it, but I'm not into that to know the verbiage and everything like that. But I'm pretty sure Constance knows. But from what I'm seeing, especially with where you're breaking this down, do you also think it'd be a good idea to kind of get this into the press's hands so that this can be like a news story?
I would speak to your attorney, but yeah, because let me tell you this one, okay? Based upon these facts, like taking them all as true, and it sounds right to me, they want to resolve this. They should want to resolve this. Of course, they're greedy and they're arrogant. So like, even in the face of, I got you red-handed, they'll act like you don't have them. But that's just the nature of the beast. I deal with that on a daily basis. Like, I'll have them red-handed, and they'll be looking at me like you have nothing, when I know they have nothing. That's their personality, right? And it's not limited to small towns. However, I understand.
Right.
Look, this America. Look at America. They'll tell you one right in your face. They'll tell you something like, we're done. Like, no, we're looking at it. No, that's not what you're seeing. No, we know what we're looking at right now.
but this is a prime example of how these companies do, because they figure, hey, my money longer than yours, I can outlast you.
Correct.
Yeah, your money gonna run out way before mine do. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So
correct. And they're playing with house money, because as crazy as it may sound, they've already gotten to 50,000. How much did it really cost them to build that and do all of that? Okay, how much money are they really out of right now? Not much.
And he has 8 sites. Jeff Jones has 8 sites all over North Carolina. So
this is house money. But yeah, you want to put some pressure on them and like resolve this, especially in light of the fact that it's sold to his son. Like, resolve this. So at the same time, and I get it, you want, recourse, but I don't know if you want to save your land, and move on with your life more than you want to bring them to justice. I would also be pushing to get this resolved, and they'll have their day.
yeah, if I was your attorney, I'd be talking to every news outlet, newspaper, everything. This will be blasted all over that little town or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And they can undo this easily, again, in light of the fact that it's been sold, in-house. They can vacate that sale. It's a piece of paper. They don't even have to vacate. They can just sign it back. You all can sit down, your attorney can sit down at a table. This is what she contracted to purchase. This is what you have. Fix it. You were already approved for a loan. Get it right. Get whatever little money you do use, minus some of this headache, and go on about your life. But they should be willing to fix this.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible.
but I'm sure this happens more often than not.
Yeah, but
And
I think your appeal is very strong. I just don't see them winning that appeal.
and now to me is the time. Like just out of curiosity, Attorney Fenton, it seems like, I mean, not seems like, you know your shit. We could tell that hands down. And you in Chicago, so you definitely out there getting it because they gangster out there. But in your Rolodex, do you have any connections of any attorneys or whatever in the North Carolina area?
I do not.
Damn.
I do not.
Is and that's another thing. In North Carolina, the mechanic, they said I needed a mechanic lien attorney. They are virtually, it's like impossible to find one, and they know it because the Downey's Homes attorney told me, he said, "Oh, you're not going to find an attorney around here." He said, "You might as well, talk to me and let me lead you." He said, "Because you're not going to find an attorney." He knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah,
He knew.
you don't need a mechanics lien attorney per se. Like any attorney, I won't say any. I'm not saying any.
A civil.
Right.
Right, a civil.
He said civil attorney you're not going to find or mechanic.
No, I said I need a civil
Okay.
attorney. Hmm.
Wow. Now that's saying a lot. Like, how can I not find a civil attorney? That doesn't even make sense.
Right. It was crazy to me. A lot of the attorneys that I was reaching out to, they would say, "Oh, I only do divorce or I only do malpractice." And it's just, I don't do those. I don't do land. I don't do that. I don't do they all of them would say. And I went to like over like 40 of them. And then I did.
How large is this community? Where is it?
It's in Edenton, North Carolina. Like when it says "Welcome to North Carolina," after you cross over to Chesapeake, I'm 30 minutes in.
How large is that community? The city?
Well, it's not large at all, and it's by water because it's like a small gated community, and by the water. And
People. How large is the county?
oh, I'm not sure.
So it's just not many attorneys, basically.
No, you could throw a rock and you out of it, basically, but I'm not sure what's the population.
You got to get an attorney to come from outside of there.
I did. I had to get one all the way in like Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina. He was one of the first ones, and he really didn't want to take the case, but I went with him because he went up against Downey's Homes before. He had a case against Downey's Homes before, and plus he's also he do federal. He's federal, and I was like, okay,
yeah, that's what you need.
I need it right. I was looking for a lawyer that deal with federal too.
Yeah, that's what you need. But it's not that damn complex. It's not. They try to make it complex. This is not complex at all. What's complex is the procedure and just knowing how to navigate in federal court and appeals.
Right, but it's difficult to really fight them when they all working together.
Well, I don't think they want to play this game because it's so clear on your motion to vacate default.
Right,
and we're in appellate court, and we're in federal. That's a different game. That's different.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why they try to pull me out because I kept saying I didn't know you can get. I didn't know a lower court can get. And I've been a clerk for I've been working for the unified court system for over 25 years. I never heard of a lower court getting an appeal pulled out of a higher court. I never heard of that. In New York, we never heard of it. I don't know. Like they keep saying they do things different in North Carolina, but I never heard of that.
Nor have I, so I don't know what that's about.
So I just want to recap the course of action here because I think from the new information that you heard, Attorney Fenton, you changed from what we were talking about earlier. So we need to focus. She needs to focus more on the appellate part right now, right?
And you saying contest the sale?
Both.
Okay.
But it seems to me that the appeal has the bigger teeth.
Okay. Well, the attorney did make a statement to me. He said it's like we have to get out of this county. Basically, he said we got to get out of this county because it's like it's, you know,
So he's
I
talking about
get what you.
a motion to relocate.
He
Yeah,
said we had to.
well, when you appeal,
Uh-huh.
he must have meant we have to get out of this county if we're trying to vacate the sale. And I don't know, but not the appeal, because the appeal is not in the
Right, right. It's already out. You know what I'm saying? When we was going back and forth to court in that county, and every time we put in something, they kept, saying, "Oh, now the judge recused himself." They were just like delaying it, and then he said we had to get out of that county. Period.
I understand, but let me tell you this: you're working both ends. As a recap,
Okay.
your appeals, based upon those facts, very strong. I cannot imagine in any court you don't have 30 days to vacate a default judgment as a matter of right. That should have been a no-brainer. They should have vacated that default judgment. And I don't feel like I'm stretching. That's a done deal. You could have walked in without anything in writing and got a default vacated.
Right.
Okay? You could have done an oral motion to vacate a default in 22 days.
Right.
Okay? And in light of the fact that you already had an answer on file, so you have two grounds upon which to vacate that default and overturn that sale. One, it should have never been a default because it was the clerk's error. You had already filed an answer. And then two, even if that were not the case, you filed a motion to vacate and it should have been granted. So you got them two different ways. I don't see how they beat this. All right, so that's one. But then on the backside, I would still put pressure on them on the backside. We're in the county. We already have the other gun with the appeal. So remember that. But I'm still going to make sure that they follow the procedure in foreclosing on that mechanics lien. Because if you get the sale vacated, at least, you want to constantly put pressure on them. What I learned in law and in life, right? Dealing with systems and people. Listen, one, you have to be prepared to go to law, to stay the course. They bet and rely on us losing patience. One thing I learned, I'm like, they always try to do it with me. Oh, filed it, and they try to paper you to death. I'm a very patient man. You have to be very patient. Like, I get into stuff and I'm like, okay, I'll see you in 3 years. I have no problems with it. You gotta come to grips with that. Otherwise, it's gonna hurt you more than it's gonna help you, because you're gonna be flustered, you're gonna make mistakes, don't do it. Just get relaxed in it. Accept it. Let's go. That's number one. Right? And then number two, you got to put pressure on them. So even though I got my appeal, you got to treat them the way they try to treat you. I'm putting pressure on you. Put that pressure on the backside too.
Okay.
Methodically.
And that's it.
Constance, I would definitely show your attorney this what we just talked about, just maybe because he need to hear from maybe a fresh set of eyes on it from another attorney. You know what I'm saying? He may need to hear, and it may spark something in his in his mind to get this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Attorney Fenton, just so you know too, I sent you an email with Constance's number in case you want to communicate with her.
Okay.
And I mean, to be honest with you, this was a lesson for myself and probably main one, because we learned a lot. But Constance, I got to give you props, because if you didn't know your shit, this could be way worse.
Yeah.
And I think personally, Attorney Fenton probably appreciate that, because he has to deal with people who don't know. You've done the right steps. It's just like he said, it was about the representation that was the misstep. And my question is, based on everything that's being said, does she have the grounds to sue them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she does. That's a whole nother conversation because, you know, but I want you to win this first part first. You have to do this first. But like your attorney, you know, he may be waving that in the background. Like even if, you know, like fraud, like Unfair and Deceptive Consumer Practices Act, you sold it to your son. Here's my email. I told you, you know, this, you're taking too long and I want it to stop, even though it's not to the letter of their agreement. And then you run out there and you put it on, you know, you erect this structure and I've only paid you $50,000. Then you try, you know, yeah, you can put pressure on them. It's something there.
And what I'm going to do, just to do my due diligence, you said the name of the city is Eatonton?
Edenton, yes.
So Eatonton?
Edenton, Edenton, North Carolina.
What I'm going to do is
I'm sorry. Let me ask you this, and then, you know, I have to go in shortly. You said when you signed your agreement, did you sign that agreement only in your name?
Yes.
You didn't place the trust down?
No. I didn't put the land into my trust until a few months after.
Okay. So then we don't have them on that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking up the news stations down there. Probably Edenton probably don't even have one, but in the surrounding areas, because once you get the surrounding areas and get that buzz, that's what it is. And I'm also going to see if I can find any local activists that might be in the area somewhere, because once the attention gets on it, it's going to be a problem. It's really going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's crazy. Especially with the judge. That's crazy.
Well,
right.
I mean, fam, I'm glad. First off, Constance, thank you for taking the time out to come on. And Attorney Felton,
thank you for having me.
Thank you for making the time, because like I said, we doing our best to make this go viral. We doing our part. We doing the best we can to pop this off, because it needs that type of attention. We just need somebody with a bully pulpit that can really pop it off.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, add one more little element to the backside. This is a technicality.
Okay.
When they foreclosed on that mechanics lien, did they name the trust as a defendant? Because if not, then it's quite possible you could sort of stall. Although the appeal will stall it, you could also throw that in the mix just to, you know, throw that in the mix, because the trust should have been a defendant. I think the trust is a necessary party. And if not, then they don't have jurisdiction over the trust, which is the owner of the land. Mm-hmm. So they just sold the shell. They just sold your interest, but they didn't sell the trust interest.
Okay.
So you may be able to get them on that technicality.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Counselor.
All right.
And we really appreciate it. Obviously, Constance, you already know, whenever you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Attorney Felton, open platform. You can come on and whenever you want to. It's all good. And we truly do thank you, because, and I gotta reach out to April and thank her for linking us up, because this was perfect, because you gave her probably the caveat she needed to conclude this. The attorney probably gonna say, damn, I don't know why I didn't think about that, which is good look.
And I'm definitely gonna reach out to him in the morning. Thank you, Fu. Thank you, Main One, and thank you, Counselor. Absolutely. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Hey, keep fighting. We got your back. Keep fighting.
Absolutely.
They want you to stop. They want you to quit.
I came too far. To give up now.
That's right.
Thank you.
I'll send you all the link to my book. It's helpful, not all the way in this context, but if you're investing in real estate and other things, that's my book.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, definitely. Trust. Thank you. Thank you and good night. Thanks, Fu. Thanks, Main One.
All right. Everybody out there, we appreciate it. Spread the word, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this story out. If you know anybody in the area, please let us know, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thank you. Good night.
I know you're out there. feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.